You're now listening. You're now listening to the best music, the hottest tracks, and coolest mashups of the moment. You're now listening to the best music.
Happy days, family. How you doing? Welcome to Let's Talk with Eroded. It's April 2nd. I'm so sorry. Excited for another month to be magical, intentional, and basically full of joy. Welcome to the Black Heart Fire Radio Network, media of the 21st century. Here we're always talking about redefining Africans or Africa as we redefine ourselves.
You're now listening to the best music. Feel the freshness. You're now listening to the 1 hour of the hottest tracks and coolest mashups of the moment.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way in Switzerland. And I'm reaching out to all of our brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into the Black Heart
You're
Fire
now
Radio.
listening to the best music.
Feel the hits. Feel the freshness.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way in Switzerland. And I'm reaching out to all of our brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into Black Heart
You're
Fire
now listening to the best music.
Happy days, family. How you doing? Welcome to Let's Pop with Ewerton. It's your girl, the lovely Ewerton Longoria here on the Black Heart Fire Radio Network, media of the 21st century on Let's Pop with Ewerton. And the topic of the day is African art renaissance. I hope you're excited for that conversation coming up right away. Remember to follow us on all the social media platform on YouTube. You can subscribe if you haven't. And also remember, you can download our app on the Google Play Store and stream on www www.blackhotfireradionetwork.com to basically get a hinge of the supplements we do have for you. The likes of ashwagandha, multivitamin, beetroot, brain fogers, aloe cucumber soap, and the sheer butter for the ladies will give you that beautiful, amazing glow and to give you that beautiful thick hair. But let's listen in to the health and benefits of multivitamin to give you an understanding of what we do have for you on the website.
Fuel your body with complete multivitamin, the perfect balance of essential nutrients for daily health and wellness. Carefully formulated from natural ingredients, our multivitamin packs vitamins A, C, D, E, plus key minerals like zinc and magnesium to support your immune system and boost energy. Just one tablet a day is all you need. Take it with water and feel the difference as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Stay active, stay strong, stay ready with Complete Multivitamin, your daily dose of vitality. Complete Multivitamin, simple, powerful nutrition. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition store.
For $32.90, super affordable. And we have also apparel clothing on the store section with the Black Hot Fire Radio logo on it. We have bags right now, so that's amazing for the ladies out there. Beanie hats, dad hats, t-shirts, sandal slide mats, the Black Hot Fire Radio flag representing Ubuntu the Awakening. And again, the today's topic is African art renaissance. So let's talk about African art and the fact that we can actually put or accolade a lot of people who are into art. And I believe art actually tell a lot of things that are hidden in regards to our story. We have a lot of people doing art. We can see art in the buses that we actually board every day. But most of the art there is a lot of people who do not look like us. And I feel like there's more about the African community, or basically more about us. We've literally accomplished a lot, understanding the fact that we are the originators of civilization and everything that is going on in the world right now. I believe we should have a lot of people on the buses, because in Kenya, they do a lot of art on the buses, putting people's faces. But sometimes if you see the buses that you're boarding, or just if you're walking home or whatever you're going to, the photos or the art that they've basically put on this verses is people who are like, okay, I know this person is an artist, he's a musician, but they don't look like you. So it's also a question like the fact that there's the colonization of the mind in the African continent, because I believe there's more of people who've done a lot even before colonization. Why not put an art or something that looks like the
I see
art?
most of those. Most of those buses here in town have black faces on them.
Not really. It's a lot of,
What?
no, they've put
Wow.
movie stars, on
Yeah,
this
most
buses
I know,
or
but most of those buses I always seen like some hip hop artists or type. Hey, wow, it's a lot of white people in them buses.
we have some which have like the African or the Kenyan artists or Lupita
Yeah.
Nyong'o, you know, but most of them have a lot of it's a lot of white people on this
What? I didn't notice.
movie
Wow.
stars, you know. Maybe
Wow.
someone you love in a movie or an artist that
That's
you love.
crazy. I thought the majority of those buses had black artists on it, like black movie stars or black singers and black. Wow, wow, that's crazy. Uh oh, uh
It's amazing
oh.
because I started thinking about it in regards to the research and everything that we learn every day, and I'm like, oh my god, if people knew how much we've accomplished and who we are, all these buses will have our faces on
Of
it.
course, I thought it did. That's why I was so. That's why I was so proud of it. I didn't know how to book. Wow, you didn't kind of depress me now.
I wish I can get a photo of that, but I will try and
all,
look into
all,
that.
all the buses I always see on YouTube, it always got black people on them, black people faces on the buses.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay,
True. But
wow.
a lot of them, which I believe I can say that have a lot of movie stars who are literally, they don't look like us. So
Yeah,
It's a
they got
fact
yeah
of how
they had
we don't
they
know
had the
about
Cauca- they had the Caucasians.
yeah,
Yeah,
we don't know
wow.
about your history, about how much you've literally accomplished, which it will be super proud because even if you're in a bars and you see this beautiful art that they've actually put in the bars, if you don't know anything, you'll be like, oh my god,
Yeah,
who's that person? You
this
give
is
this
mind this is mind control, guys. Because if you see anybody doing any buses in Europe or any place else, they're not putting your black faces on their buses.
yeah, we should actually learn more about what really happened before colonization, and that will
Yeah.
give you a sense of pride of how much your ancestors, how much you've accomplished. Talk about civilization that we always talk about here, and the fact that you are the originator of art itself, you know, of building architecture,
You're
name
the embrace, you're the first state of art, mathematics,
yeah.
science,
Mhm.
architecture, literally everything.
It's true. And most of the movies or series people really watch, all those heroes were literally African people. They were not white people as they actually put it out
Nope,
there.
nope, they
No.
were not. Of course they were. But that's called
Yeah.
mind control here at times. So they control your
Yeah.
mind.
And it's amazing every time, as we talked about, or Joshua Maponga talked about the fact that there's always war in Africa for the reason, because if we keep fighting, if we're not united, the other worlds, the globalists, they keep thriving and they become more powerful, and that's why there'll always be scramble for Africa, always, which is a wake up call for us because we don't want to. Okay, I can say some have conformed to the standards of the West, literally, even
Or,
our educational system, even the way I believe some people have accents.
of course,
That's not the way it's supposed to
but
be. It
but
means
nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I got a Western accent. You got a
I
Western
guess
accent. We were
yeah.
colonized. We get the truth. The truth is the truth here, Todd. Our ancestors didn't speak like this.
Yeah.
Coming out of
100
Angola, they say, "Hey, how are you doing today?"
going today. What's good?
Exactly.
What's popping?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Out. I want to share a video of the art renaissance and the fact that also our real arts and artifacts were stolen. I know we've talked about it here, but I'm gonna go back to it in regards to how that really gave us an identity, gave us an heritage, and also we had writings which carried a lot more than just something written on a sculpture or literally on a stone. It actually
Well,
defined
where the
who we
first
are.
languages come out of Africa here. So now the language, the alphabet is all
Mm.
African, all of it.
That is so true. The writings, which I believe the Arabs stole away from us, for sure, came from us,
But they didn't
literally.
steal it. They didn't steal it. They did you don't you can't steal writing. They did. They just incorporated because they didn't know how to write. So they incorporated within their culture. That's all. It's not a stealing. Just incorporate things that you need within your own customs,
All
within your own
right.
culture. Uh huh.
Legacy has been misrepresented. As European explorers reached the West African coast, they encountered sophisticated and traditional
Sophisticated.
And they were not explorers. They were mercenaries trying to rob and steal this work. They were
Yeah.
not explorers.
Stop using that word, explorers. No, you're not. You know
Yeah,
what's happening in
they're
Africa?
mercenaries looking how can we rob and steal land, steal people, steal wealth. They were not explorers.
Yeah, you knew what's popping. You knew what was popping in Africa, and you're like, yeah, let's just go definitely and take over and dominate, and that's what they did. So you're not explorers.
textiles and ceremonial objects, each with its own distinct social and spiritual importance. But instead of seeing them as high art forms, Europeans dismissed them, placing them outside the.
Do you think we can get people who can definitely create art like this right now, Mr. Newsom?
Nothing what now?
Do you think we can get artists, African artists, because of our cultures and tradition?
Of course,
Because
but they've been told that's evil. So the regular long as they go back to the African culture, to that fake Christian insanity and Islam nonsense. You've been told that your traditions were evil, which is absolutely insane. You've been the most loving, kind people on the planet. There's been evil Africans, but you've taken on that brainwashing. Yeah, this culture is still inside you. It's in your very DNA. It's in your very blood. It's who you
Because
are.
we presented a lot about our community, about how we actually identify with ourselves. Because
Yeah,
even the symbol, like is it the Louis Vuitton symbol
yeah,
that
yeah. It's African.
as
So
as an African symbol that represents power and affluence? They took that, you know.
yeah, they
So
took it. So yeah, they take it. So what? What you gonna do about
no, I'm talking about if we can literally get people can definitely go back into that and start, recreating again because we can always recreate
it?
even though they take it away
Well,
from
well,
us.
and they still. Well, you was in. I seen a video with you on TikTok when you was in and the designer shop, the fashion shop the other day. So
Right,
they're doing it there. He was looking through
right.
the. You were looking through the fashion. I said, "Oh, who's this? Oh, this Irriton ass. Your videos always sneak up on me when I script out. What's this? Irriton. Oh, this Irriton ass in the damn fashion studio. She was talking to that guy. Okay, she's in the fashion studio. All right, yeah.
Right. So I
You can
believe it's
you can
it's
always
in us.
create more fashion. Of course, it's
Yeah,
in you.
because I this is something that they've refused to give back. They've given a couple of the artifacts, but not all of it, because everything
They've given little nothing because that's in their museums that they've stolen and they make
Mhm.
money from it. They told you they're not going to give because you have no power. Till you Africans get power, then you be able to force them to give it back. They're not going to give it back freely. They'll let you borrow your own stuff. It's like me stealing your house here, time. I say, you know what, Hilton, I'll let you borrow your house for a couple of days. But then after that I want it back. It's mine. Like, but you stole it. So what? So what? Right? So until you get power, Airtime, they're never gonna do anything until you have power over them. They're never gonna do the right thing, Airtime. No matter how many
Right.
stupid religions they give you, that's not who they are. They're not prone to doing the just, fair, right thing. That's not their nature.
Hmm.
Western definition of art. Colonialism reinforced this distortion. In the 19th century, African art was often called primitive.
Yeah. Look at that.
Western institutions and collectors reduced its significance to
If it was primitive, why did they steal it? Why don't they give it back? Because that's a
Exactly.
lie. If it was
Yeah.
primitive, why did they steal it? And why won't they give it back? You don't want this primitive stuff.
So many
Give it back
ways.
to us.
Yeah, which it definitely worked. It
Exactly.
worked.
It's primitive,
peaceful,
but you're keeping it.
legitimate
It's still in your country.
artistic expressions. But by the early 20th century,
It's
a
how someone creates the emotion, and art is very powerful because an artist really goes deep, and most of them, if they're actually connected to the source, they get a lot of downloads. Even some, I believe, they used to actually
Of course.
paint
There you
down.
go. That's what it's used for. Exactly.
Yeah, they actually used to paint or actually ascribe down what's going to happen in the future in the form of art, so it's really powerful. And the fact
That
that
funny. Me and Joby just did a 2 day show
Mhm.
about
Oh,
what Kirtan just said. How we
really?
found in the part of art, yeah, we showed it.
Hmm.
We showed that these temples still exist. How the African made art describing the future through
Wow.
art. So yeah, we
Right.
did it Friday and Monday. So yeah, so we talked about it Friday and Monday, showing what Kirtan said factually. And this art is over 10, 20,000 years ago, showing
Mm-hmm.
the African being conquered by the Europeans, showing the Africans the Europeans taking the Africans into slavery. It's all on the walls where they print them in Asia. It's all
Yes.
there in art.
Sure. I'm planning to go to our art gallery soon, and it's amazing because when you just, I believe I'm gonna find beautiful tools which actually tell a story. Because if you're keen enough, that's how the creator talks. And if you're available to actually be in that meditative
They
moment or
true
energy state, yes, definitely. There's a lot that is going to be downloaded
get
to
down
you.
with it. You
Yeah,
get down with
but
it because you're
we have a lot
directly
of people
connected.
connected to the source, and whatever they're putting
Not
down is
and
just
not you can't be connected to the source talking about Jesus and hollering in the church.
you know
You know,
too
I hate to tell you every
beautiful.
time you're connected to the wrong source. Sorry.
What do you mean I'm connected to God? What do you mean I'm connected to the wrong sauce?
Well, I don't. Hey, if you don't know that Jesus ain't God, you need to go do some research. And I can't. You know, I don't want to hurt
I'm
your feelings.
connected to the creator. I am
Yeah, that's
connected to the creator.
yeah to the creator, but Jesus ain't the
Yeah,
creator. That's a made up European
I'm
Greek
connected.
nonsense.
But if we have a lot of, I believe we have a lot of artists. Let me not say if we believe. We do have a lot of artists. And I believe if we have artists who understand their African identity, I believe they're there. I believe they're there.
Okay,
Their
Christ
art
is
will
still
be
there.
special, definitely. And it's something you'd want to sit down or just want to understand, because I believe they actually talk about the future or what's really happening in form of art.
A shift began. Art historians such as Carl Einstein and Leo Frobenius redefined African art
All this are not even our names. They redefined it.
as an aesthetic and intellect.
Aesthetic, that's the word. We know everything about the globalists is always monetary. Everything is monetary. They don't care about talk about identity, they don't care about culture or tradition. It's about what they're gaining after they take it away.
Intellectual tradition. Meanwhile, European modernists like Gauguin, Picasso, and Matisse were inspired by its bold forms and raw emotional power, integrating African influences
Are we just like smart and amazing and powerful?
into their own revolutionary styles. Despite this newfound recognition, African artists largely remained on the margins of the global art scene. But as African nations gained independence in the mid 20th century,
And I believe that's why I believe Emmanuel Macron was threatening, is it the Burkina Faso, in regards to if they kick them out, I'm not going to allow you to come. I'm going to allow your artists to come to my country and sell their art. That's what he used on them.
artists began reclaiming their narratives, using their work to explore themes of national identity,
Look at that national identity.
post colonial struggles, and the economic realities
Of what's really happening, because this is the best way we can express them. I believe if you had a lot of artists right now, I have to definitely research on that in regards to what's happening mostly in our economy right now. What's everything that's happening right now, it has to be put down in the form of art.
of their continent. In this edition of Talk to Al Jazeera, we meet three women at the forefront of contemporary African art. Dynamic, diverse, and increasingly recognized globally.
I'm really excited about this, honestly. The art fact about it, because art is life. Art is how you dress, how you talk, how you meditate, how you associate with people. It's your energy, it's how you think. You literally art.
As artists on the continent and in the diaspora, shaping a new dialogue on history, resilience, and the future.
because it's the culture. But
As contemporary African art's narrative shifts, Senegal's Oumi Diaw has played an important role as art critic and specialist. Deeply engaged in West Africa's modern art scene, she has focused on bridging the gap between African artists and the global market. But how does the world perceive African art today? Is it truly understood and valued on its own terms?
Umi Diaw, you are a contemporary art specialist. Thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. We're inside a gallery where there were a lot of pieces here of contemporary African art, and all of it has been sold. Now tell us, what's going on? It seems to be a real kind of drive or real excitement around African contemporary art.
There's definitely a drive. We can see it worldwide. That's a given. In this case, it's a very unique perspective because it was more like of a story of a collector and an artist. The collector who started collecting because of this artist 30 years ago just had a coup de cœur for this artist called Fodé Camara, who's a very well-known artist, and basically he wanted to celebrate the fact that African people could collect art. So that's new for us, that we have something that is obvious, that even African corporations can say we want to buy our artists and support them. And on top of that, there's a historical theme that was also into this exhibition, was to pay tribute to the tirailleurs sénégalais.
So the tirailleurs sénégalais were those from West Africa that fought to liberate Europe, right?
Absolutely, and those portraits was like represented in this gallery, and the fact that the new president has also visited the Biennale of Dakar for the first time, we see the president really watching and looking at the art, really brought also this engouement to buy art even more.
And you were saying that there's a lot of people collecting art, even African corporations or companies that are collecting art. Is this a business move?
It is, but it goes beyond that. I think people are more proud of who they are. They're more keen to support their peers, to support art. And Dakar is a celebration city of art. So I think there's definitely a trigger that is operating currently. And I think people are no longer afraid to say, I love this artist. I just want to buy this piece and have it showing to the
because it definitely tells a story, and also it gives you an identity. I believe most of the African art actually has a deep fundamental story in regards to who we are, mostly about our culture. I can definitely root on that.
family.
So on the market, it seems that a contemporary African art jumped from $16 billion a year to $40 billion a year. Man, those are extraordinary numbers. But are these conservative numbers? Because is all art being sold out there made public? Is this an informal market? How does it work? How does it operate?
For the continent, I think we cannot rely on Western numbers because the Westerners have their way of working. Of course, everything is documented. It's just the way it is. But in Africa, again, we don't have that gallery, that tier system of gallery collectors institution that is so well put together.
We have one here in Nairobi. I'll be visiting it very soon, and it's super phenomenal how they've put some amazing art defining more about our Kenyan roots, talking about food. We also have an amazing Curio African shop where we have women who literally tell a story through their sewing and their amazing curio artifacts. So we're going to showcase that very soon. And it's empowering a lot of women to basically get back on their feet. And the fact that they have something to do, and also if they're teaching them about the history behind it, it's so powerful because you get really motivated to keep on doing this, because now it gives you a sense of identity and pride.
So you will have a large potential of numbers that are not visible because it happens sometimes in a small atelier or in a home of an artist, or just friends are going to see friends of friends and friends, and they just buy, and there's no way you can track that. So I think we have to be careful with the numbers that we give. I would say maybe there is more, maybe three times more. Who knows? But the good news is we're part of the conversation.
What are people a- attracted to in African contemporary art? What is it that is tickling the buyer?
We're alive. We are alive. African art is alive. It's like when you look at art, and this is something that I can speak for myself because, when I write about artists or an artwork, I photograph it first, and there's something that's going on in African art, almost like the mystique of the heritage of secular or millenary years of ancestry. You can detect that. And I think that's what also triggered Picasso. Picasso, we said he was in front of some mask at the Musée de l'Homme, I think. But it's not that he looked at it, he was inspired because the liveliness of the artwork just goes straight to your bones, and all of a sudden magic happened. And I think that's really what makes us very different from every contemporary art in history. I was extremely happy to see that there's one African American man whose name's Dr. Logan, who owns an institution called 10 North. And he owns a lot of space in Miami, in what we call Opaloka, which is a city born in the 20s out of a fantasy of a billionaire who decided to create the 1001 Nights world with architecture that reminds us of Mosque and Moorish. And this gentleman has decided to put 7 exhibitions of Black art. Fantastic art. And that tells me that we need to pay more attention. Well, one of the exhibition in Ted North that I saw at Miami Art Basel, it was a Sirikiki, who's a Burkina Faso sculptor, who's one of the most high-profile sculptors today in the continent, and who also delivered to the government of Senegal the Nadior sculpture in bronze in Thiens. He did this exhibition representing all the masks there in the European Museum, and just that the reaction of the people, the collectors that came to visit, because it was part also of the program of Art Basel show in Miami, were triggered by the fact that they say, "Oh my God, we never saw masks that are stolen and represented in Western museum." Interpreted into bronze body and the mask in pure bronze. Usually masks are in woods. So this is another artist that is influencing people to consider another form of buying art, even though the topic is still very crucial, which is restitution. So I think collectors.
We have to understand African contemporary arts are definitely attracting and also increasing interest thanks to a packed season stretching all the way from Europe to Africa, and artists and curators from across the continent and the diaspora reflect on their impact of cultural exchanges beyond their borders.
Regardless, are paying attention. Are they buying what they're supposed to buy in terms of numbers? I say no, but it's still we should not be in a hurry because things are organically happening, and I think that's the best way to preserve the
I love what she said. Things are organically happening.
contemporary art. So in order to avoid to go up and then crush right away. At the end of the day, we're all part of the world, and certain conversation that touch the Westerners or the people from Asia or the people from Middle East or in America or Latin America.
We have to also understand that African art created with these traditions are basically with a sense of culture or tradition usually embody a lot of things. For instance, masks or sculptures and figurines are often integral to rituals, ceremonies, and actually spiritual practices, symbolizing ancestral spirits, deities, or definitely cosmic forces.
We're also touched by those realities. Art is just magic, whether we want it or not. But I feel like African art has something even more special because all the heritage, the ancestries, messaging goes through the hands of the artist, and you can feel it sometimes in some African art.
For artists in the African diaspora, The question of identity is often a
Identity, always talking about identity, always super powerful. Super powerful.
challenging one. Their work does not only address the present, but also navigates a painful history, the forced displacement of their ancestors through the transatlantic slave trade. Ayanna Jackson is an African American photographer and filmmaker who brings this past into sharp focus through her work.
That's really beautiful. We also have to get to the perspective that African artisans always use their metalworking techniques. They use techniques such as casting, forging, and also soldering to literally create stunning metal objects, which basically come into fruition. And also, they use bronze, and irons, which are commonly used metals in African art. And artisans skillfully manipulate these materials to create intricate jewelry, weapons, and also ceremonial objects.
In her latest video installation, she calls Journey of the Deep Sea Dweller, she traces the journey of those taken from Africa, imagining their stories lost beneath the waves, especially those of the women who endured the brutal process. Through her art, Jackson builds a bridge between Africa and its diaspora, honoring their memory while moving forward.
As a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, as a Black American, Black U.S. American, there's quite a tension around, who we are and our story and the multiple nationalities that make up our blood, right? And so, and when you're, this kind of feeling of the continent as this home, is also, it's helpful, and it's been helpful for many generations. But then as you begin to engage with Africa, you begin to engage with the multiplicity and the complexity of the countries that are here. And so, and sometimes it can feel a little bit alienating to be in the diaspora because you're kind of outside and inside at the same time. So initiatives like this are quite incredible.
And so
that is so true. As we're going to be moving forward to another topic, we're going to be coming back to this. We also have to understand that African art has played a vital role in the cultural and historical identity of African communities. That's so true, as she's actually described right away. It has been used to communicate social, political, and spiritual messages, and has served as a medium for preserving cultural traditions and belief. Is so true, because that's the way our ancestors did preserve our cultural tradition through the artifact that some were literally stolen are in their museum right away. We're going to talk about the Judaism, Africans. We're going to be talking about Jews, Netanyahu by he can be a doctor, Joshua Maponga right away.
Purge through your history books. Find me a white man who was taken as a slave in Israel, from Israel to Egypt, to work to build the pyramids. You must find his real name, Netanyahu. That one is a fake name for Israel. Donald Trump will be successful in America based on one factor, that he represents what they say to each other when we are not there. And we are still asking as people, but we will know one day.
I just want to appreciate the head chef, Mr. Simele Shange Siabonga. Let's go slowly. Do we start with Kenya? Do we start with the DRC? Do we start with Zimbabwe? Maybe let's start with Zim.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up with South Africa.
End up with Zim. Yeah, last time we met the gold mafias, we were busy making noise in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Only when the story hit Standard Bank, it hit RNB Bank, it hit Old Mutual, it hit Anglo-American, and the real people who are the gold mafias, behind those we thought were the gold mafias, then the story just died and dissipated unceremoniously. But we've always known, as Africans, that we cannot be talking about corruption of 5 million when actually the money on the table is more than 100 billion. And Africa,
because they never give the actual amount. It's never the actual amount. Right now, we have a canopy that has been put at the stadium. Is it Nyayo Stadium? And it's so funny because before that, there was a conversation about building an arena, like a super new arena. Now, what we have is a canopy, which looks so funny. And that's what they give you. So ask the question, was there a budget for this arena? Of course, they were given a budget. And why are we getting a canopy on already established stadium?
Africans are fighting over morsels of change, as it were, crumbs of bread, and the real corrupt people are the financial institutions of this world, the insurance companies of this world, the military gun manufacturers of this world, the Soros guys, the Rothschild people, who are sitting on top of the food chain, controlling the politics of the world.
And our economic resources before we move forward. We have Somalia has expressed willingness to grant the United States exclusive control over strategic air bases and ports, according to a letter from President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud to former U.S. President Donald Trump, as seen as Reuters on Friday. The letter, dated March 16 and verified by a regional diplomat, reportedly offers the U.S. access to air bases in Balidogli and Barbara, as well as the ports of
That's a no-no.
and
Wow.
Bursaco. Mm-hmm.
He's asking, please come colonize us again, white man, please. We can't make it. You come be our daddy again, please. And what he's saying. Eric.
So the move, if accepted, could strengthen, that's what they're saying, Washington military foothold in the Horn of Africa. Washington military foothold
Of course. That
in
means
the Horn of Africa.
That means the cause
Yeah.
of destabilization in Kenya, destabilization in Sudan, conquering
Uh-huh.
Africa, stealing its resources, and taking dominance over the continent. Yes.
That is so true. So, what corporation the USA gave up this corrupt regime called Somalia? The USA is now ready to deal with Somaliland, which has proven itself to be peaceful, stable, and democratic. Aiden told the Reuters he further asserted that USA is not stupid. Okay. Of course they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know what they need to deal with. This is so funny. And you give them access to mostly of everything that you guys own. They know what they need to deal with when it comes to Barbara Report. While Somalia remains firm in its stance against Somaliland's push for independence, this latest development could put the two sides on a collision course. So that's what's happening regarding Somalia. They have expressed willingness to grant the United States exclusive control over strategic air
That's
bases.
Somali. So that be them trying to get back Somali land. Somali
Yeah.
land is trying to become independent from Somalia. So,
Hmm.
so they'll have America helping their fight to regain control of Somali land, and that also allow America to come and steal gold, diamonds, and all the precious resources of Africa, and then give them a strategic base, a naval base. You'll see, because Somali's on the water. That's what America wants, a naval base in that area to control those. See, that area controls trade here at time. That gives
Okay.
America control trade
Hmm.
in and out of Africa. That's a very strategic area that controls trade. But the Americans say, hell yeah, we're gonna take it. Damn right. Start to build. We're gonna start building the base
Yeah.
yesterday.
So it makes sense regarding what I read in the morning, because this is news that it has been updated right now. Because in the morning there was news and update regarding an UN aircraft which made an emergency landing in Mogadishu.
Okay, there you go.
So it actually adds up right now. And the aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing at Aden Ade Airport in Mogadishu. And according to the
Uh-huh.
Somali Civil Aviation Authority, the pilot executed a belly landing, causing the nose of the aircraft to make contact with the runway. So it's not emergency, it was all planned. Look at you, it makes sense right now.
deciding who goes into power. And that's where the real mother of corruption is happening. And what we see at the bottom there, a guy being given a car, being given a small little villa to live in France, and some small little loose change.
And what me and Joey were just talking about. Got houses in France and England and America.
We're in alignment today, huh?
That's what we're talking about. Me and Joey were talking about this.
Yeah, it's amazing because all these things excite a lot of people, a lot of leaders. It excites them when they get a villa.
Of course, because they don't want to be, because they have internal, as Joby said, because you have internal racism. You worship white people, and since that's your God, you have internal race, you have internal racism that you haven't dealt with, as Dr. John Henry Clark, that we showed yesterday on our show, and Joby, you have not combat your mental inferiority complex that you have. So you're like, oh, I'm stealing money from my people. I'm buying a villa here in France, in England, in America, in Australia, in New Zealand. Yay! Why you ain't build shit back in your own country? Your own country's falling apart, fucked up, spend all the money to go over there. It's crazy.
Where they don't acknowledge you, where they don't respect you.
They don't care. They try to force this stuff to be exactly. They try to force this stuff to be respected. That's why you buying villas. Why would you buy villas in France and all that? You don't see President Putin. You don't see President Putin of Russia buying no villas in France and America and England. He got his villas in his own country.
Yeah.
Because he's not ashamed to be Russian.
Mm-hmm. How people have been made to actually hate where they come from.
Exactly.
And love nations, which this nation are basically the way they are right now because of where you come from, where you're coming from.
Yeah, of course, but still, you know that inherently, that instinct. You say, well, these people colonize us, they dominate us. Now I want to be part of them. I don't. Right. You've been raised in a bad educational system. They've been raised in the same education system you in to love the enemy, unless they've done the work and come out of that self-hate.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these bad decisions you see in Africa are really based on self-hate.
Yeah, for sure.
In Mauritius account and some Swiss account, Virgin Islands.
Exactly, Swiss account. Me and Joey were talking about the Swiss accounts, the ones down in the Caribbean islands and the Cayman Islands. That's where Kenyatta's family. All their money's down in the Cayman Islands. All the money they stole out of Kenya is all down there in the Cayman Islands. As Katie did that show 3 years ago, millions of dollars stolen from Kenya, from the Kenyatas, sitting in banks in the Cayman Islands. Go there, John.
Company goes in shock to
That's sitting in Kenya. Sitting in the Cayman Islands.
190 billion worth of export smuggled materials and resources that are leaving African borders every year. Who speaks about that? Real corruption. Who speaks about the diamonds that are disappearing in Congo, in Zimbabwe, and in Namibia? Where are they going? Who is eating all these kind of voluminous types of monies? They're bringing in guns. They give us guns to kill each other. They take the minerals and they go to their own countries. So yes, Zimbabwe, we're doing fine, but not very fine. Doing fine.
That's right. You guns to kill each other while they steal all your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Our problem is an African problem. And I wrote an article this morning actually to extrapolate and extend the depth of the problem. And I can only do that from the perspective of the ancient, which I understand very well. In the older days when people went to war, they would Tolisi Nayonge Tole, if you remember Shaka, the Bunganes, in training and preparing Shaka for war, preparation for war. You go there to fight. And some glimpses of what Ushaka. When the soldiers came back, they were sitting in the river there, detoxicate. Because when you're at war, you become an animal, kill people, do all those.
Are we talking about this, Mr. Newsom? When you're at war?
Yes, live like wild animal. And then you come back, because you've killed people, you've killed animals, you've done things that are despicable during war. When you come back, then cleanse you, clean you up. Then we take all these cow horns, we cut them, we stick them on your back to remove, extra energies.
You do despicable things in war. He's right. You do despicable things there, Tom. In despicable stuff.
We smoke you. Steaming is not new.
Steaming is not new. It's amazing.
Smoke you, they will steam you up. What we detox and humanize you for 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. In some certain cases, even 6 months, 3 months. Men are there, but you can't touch them. And food is brought to them. When the cleansers and the priests are happy that mental issues, hallucinations, all these energies have subsided, and they'll be sent to introduce the soldiers to their families, and then procreation and normalizing of life would continue from there. And I want us to notice that this psychological process that would happen to put people back in the community. Unfortunately, African liberation heroes, Zimbabwe being one of them, South Africa being one of them, Zambia being one of them, and all of them, straight from war, with your clothes still dripping with blood, and your gun is still dripping with blood, straight from war into your bedroom, straight from war into your government office, straight from war.
Yeah, that's what happens right now.
Into operation. And then why there's so much madness amongst the military people, drunkenness, substance abuse, and worse still, the psychological imbalances that we witness amongst the military people, to an extent that some of them have become literal criminals.
Right.
Because the criminality that...
How did you deal with that, Mr. Newsom?
Criminality? I told you that I'm a very strong mental individual, so I do a lot of meditation, so it never bothered me. A lot of people can't, like you said, a lot of people can't take that, so it causes psychological problems. They would have what they call PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. They would come home, beat their wives, because it's hard to kill other people and then come back and eat and act like nothing's happened every time. It's hard to murder people, right, and come back home and get up in the morning and eat a bowl of eggs, and be normal because you've done so much heinous things. So with me, I was able to detach through meditation. I was able to detach myself from the violence that I was inflicting on other people, because I said it's all about me. Sadly enough, I'm in this situation, so I can't change that I'm in this situation. So how am I going to allow this situation to affect me detrimentally, or am I going to take it and try to detach myself and compartmentalize what I'm doing from who I actually am? Can I put what I'm doing over here, like almost have a split personality, right? Can I detach myself from the things I'm actually doing and not and envelop that into who Keith is, right, as a human being? So I was able to, compartmentalize these things and not bring it part of my soul, part of my individual entity, right? Most people can't. Most people now, they can't do that every time. So because it's not a natural thing to kill people every time. Not natural to shoot somebody in the face and blow their head off and see your whole head explode in front of you. It does something to your soul. Because I think that's God. That's God. We're not, to kill somebody, and that's like a serial killer. That's why serial killer. That's like a psychopath. You really kill people, and for it not to affect you, you're psychopathic. So I will say, when I came back, was I a little meaner? Yeah, I know it didn't affect me like most people. Was I a little? I wasn't, as you see, like the way I am today. I can laugh and smile, but I always had a sense of humor. But I was a little meaner through war every time. But I didn't allow it to devour me. right? A lot of people thought to devour them, and they haven't come to terms. So when I knew I was going, I said, I kept telling myself, man, I don't want to come back all fucked up. I want to come back all like crazy and out of my mind. So I had always put the conscious decision. I wasn't gonna come back messed up every time, no matter what I seen. I wasn't coming back psychotic and crazy, right? So I was gonna allow myself to be somewhat detached from the environment. I was living I was in the environment every time, but I was detached from it. If you can understand that, I was in there, but I was detached. I said, well, motherfucker got blown up. Hell, what can I do? I was detached. So, so that's how I was able to come back through it and not be, mentally messed up, because killing people is not, that's their culture. We're going in their military, doing their bidding. All these wars are theirs. And so now we get caught up doing their wickedness. And when we come back from these conditions, if we're not blown up physically every time, let's say we come back, if we're lucky to make it back with all our parts, my hand is there, my arm is still on, I've got my legs, but then my mind is all messed up, right?
Yeah.
Because usually come back with your body, something missing on your body, like I said before, your what, gone, your leg gone, your arm gone, but also with that, your mind is gone. So now I got missing body parts and my mind is gone every time. I'm like, nah, no way. So my first thing was to make sure my body came back all right. I was so scared about being crippled every time. I can't get back be no crippled.
Right.
Come back have a whole missing foot. Who gonna date me every time I got a foot gone? All that kind of stuff, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so then I was worried about my mental health, because seeing people blown up every time is not normal. It's not a normal condition. And the brain will react to you seeing people get blown up. It will say, it can't, like he's like Joshua said, it will cause mental issues with you. So you wake up at night screaming and hollering. You'll be having dreams about killing people. Ah! You wake up, especially you and a woman. What's wrong with you? Ah! Can't we talk about it? Because no one unless somebody's been there in war, they can't understand what you're talking about when you talk to them about it. So that's why you got a lot of these guys come back to psychologists. And the company don't want to pay for the shit. They still there.
You're cutting off. I think we'll get.
A lot of my friends came back messed up, man. Messed up.
Okay. So
go ahead, you guys. Yeah.
There's a lot of detoxification that are done to soldiers who went to war and came back, but right now we no longer have that procedure.
And they were trained to do.
I don't think there's ever been any detox.
You're cutting again.
Because we're back ancient times. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, play it.
South Africa, here's some of the biggest hastes that are happening in the country, and proper militarized strategies of robbing banks and etc. It's coming from the military section, including Zimbabwean soldiers, Tswana soldiers, South African soldiers, who know each other from training camps in Mozambique, in Tanzania. They call each other, what's up, nothing's happening, man, we're poor here, no money. So this element for me remains unresolved, where we have sought to have academic eloquence superseding spiritual preparation, so that a nation can prepare itself for rehabilitation.
And he said we should definitely have one army as an African continent, one army come together.
Of course, if we need one African government, then you could have one country go and give rights to part of the ocean to the United States. That wouldn't happen under one country, under one military. No, absolutely not. You're not doing that.
That would be the most powerful thing to do. But let's listen in to what he said about this part.
Institutions of theology have allowed to whitewash the Bible and whitewash the theology to fit into the collective narrative.
The ancient Middle East was first settled by Hamitic people, including the Kushites. The legendary ruler, Kushite king Nimrod, the Ethiopian, is immortalized in geographic and place names like Nimrod Fortress Castle in Israel.
The Hyksos, there was actually a period of the whitening, even research on that also, the whitening of Egypt, where
making Egypt black from white. All these white boobas you see of white people. There were no white people in no damn Kemet. This is all crazy. Even when I grew up, I knew that was like, this is crazy. I know this ain't true.
That's how they've literally eroded our culture, everything that we did.
Yeah, of course.
Whitening.
Whitening of Egypt, where actually the Hyksos were defeated, and the light in complexion Arabs started taking all the black Hyksos as slaves and pushed them out of royalty, and now started having them white. Now, when you walk around Egypt, it looks like it's a white country, when actually it was the process of the whitening of Egypt and the extermination of the black Hyksos, and hence the removal.
The construction of the pyramid, everything that the melanated people did, is not even talked about. And in actual facts, they're the ones who actually, they're the true originators of Egypt.
Because there wasn't no white people there at all. They built those pyramids, wasn't no white people there. There wasn't no white people in Egypt at all, or Kemet at all. Those white people came much later here, Tom. Much later. Those white people up there are recent. Those are not, none of those temples up, none of that stuff you see in Egypt today, that old stuff, had nothing to do with those people up there today. Nothing.
That is true. The land of Kemet, as it is called, but we're winding up with that. I've been talking about the African art renaissance, beautiful documentary conversation about our art and how it talks about our culture, signifies our political, social, economic world, and how we should definitely dig more into it and have more artists who, I believe, they literally do a lot of meditation, and that's why when they actually inscript down everything that they are downloading, it's very, very powerful. And if we have more of them who are actually downloading everything that they're being told regarding what's happening in the social, economic, political world, I believe it's going to be a super woke generation. But remember to download our app on the Google Play Store and stream on www.blackhawk5radio network for amazing healthy supplements and apparel clothing. We're definitely winding up on Let's Talk with Irutan, always talking about redefining Africans as we redefine Africa. It's your girl, the lovely Irutan Magoria, with my amazing Pebble host, Mr. Newsom. Your last words as I wind up this beautiful afternoon.
Well, my last words are, don't be afraid to be African. Take back your culture and your pride in who you are. You've been lied to. You've been whitewashed. You're given nonsense by people that you actually educated, but you educated them with love. You wanted to turn on the lights for them. They wanted to turn your lights out. So understand the difference in nature. This is just a fact. We're not saying every white person, but the majority. So we gotta be honest. It's every white person, because the other white person. We're not every white person was bad. Okay, but the majority you were. You wanted to turn the lights off on everybody. The African wanted to turn the lights on. Here, let me educate you. Let me try to do this. Let me help you to learn. You got that. And then when you got power, you wanted to turn everybody's lights out. Go ahead. Go there, John. Let's love, family.
Shining the light. I'm sending you so much love and light. Have a beautiful the rest of your day. Happy April. It's going to be full of magical events. Take care.
Happy April the 2nd.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way from Switzerland. And I'm reaching out to all of our brothers and sisters on the African continent.
You're now listening to the best music.
Feel the hits. Feel the freshness.